I remember the day I signed the divorce papers like it was yesterday. Not because it was dramatic, no shouting, no slammed doors, but because of how goddamn ordinary it felt. Like signing a car lease or a property tax form. Just another piece of paper that meant my life was changing and I had no say in it. My name's Richard, but everyone calls me Rick. I'm 56, a project manager for a construction firm in Indianapolis. Or at least I was before the layoffs hit last year. Now I'm consulting, which is just a fancy way of saying I patch together odd jobs and pretend I'm not waiting for my 401k to stop bleeding. My wife, well, ex-wife, is Linda. We were married 28 years, 2 kids, both grown and living out of state. A 3-bedroom house in Fishers that's too big for me now, but I can't bring myself to sell. Too many memories in these walls. Linda and I had one of those marriages that looked fine from the outside. We didn't fight much, at least not toward the end. We just stopped talking about the things that mattered. I'd come home from work, she'd be scrolling through her phone at the kitchen island, half listening while I told her about my day. Dinner was usually takeout or something thrown together without much thought. We'd watch TV in silence, then go to bed. Her on her side, me on mine, like we were roommates who'd accidentally signed a lifetime lease. Looking back, I guess the signs were there. The way she'd sigh when I asked if she wanted to go out for our anniversary. How she stopped wearing her wedding ring, saying it bothered her skin. The sudden girls' trips with her friend Diane, who I always thought was a bad influence. But you don't question it, you know. You tell yourself, this is just what happens after 30 years. The spark fades. You get comfortable. Then one night, over meatloaf from the crock pot, the same recipe she'd made for 20 years, she put down her fork and said, "Rick, I think we need to talk." And just like that, it was over. She didn't yell, didn't cry, just laid it out like she was reading a grocery list. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I need space to figure myself out." Classic midlife crisis stuff, right? Except when a woman says it, people call it self-discovery. When a man says it, they call him selfish. I begged. I pleaded. I asked if there was someone else. She looked me right in the eye and said no, and like an idiot, I believed her. The papers came 6 weeks later. I signed them at the kitchen table, the same place we'd eaten 1,000 meals together. The lawyer's pen felt cheap in my hand, and just like that, 28 years. Gone. Now I sit here in this too quiet house, staring at the blank space on the wall where our wedding photo used to hang, wondering how the hell it all slipped away. And the worst part? I still don't know the truth. But I'm about to find out. They call it freedom after a divorce. Freedom to do what you want, when you want. Let me tell you something. That's bullshit. What they don't tell you is that freedom just means staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering where the hell you went wrong. I'm still in the house. Linda took the furniture she wanted, the good couch, the dining set her parents gave us, and left me with the stuff that didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. The place feels like one of those staged homes you see on Zillow, clean, empty, and completely lifeless. At first I tried to keep busy, went back to the gym, started grilling steaks like a bachelor, even joined one of those stupid men's groups at the community center. But here's the thing about trying to reinvent yourself at 56. Nobody's really paying attention. Your kids are busy with their own lives, your friends are still coupled up, and the barista at Starbucks doesn't care if you order a pumpkin spice latte just to feel something. And Linda? Oh, she was thriving. At least that's what her Instagram said. Suddenly she's hiking Sedona, taking wine tasting classes, posting selfies with her new squad, women I'd never even heard her mention before. Meanwhile, I'm eating cold pizza over the sink at midnight because cooking for one feels pathetic. But here's what really got me. The little things. The way she'd text me out of the blue. "Do you remember where we put the Christmas tree stand?" Like we were just neighbors sharing tools. Or when she showed up unannounced to grab her good blender and smelled like a perfume I didn't recognize. Too sweet. Too young. I should have asked. But that's the trap, isn't it? You start questioning and suddenly you're the jealous ex. You're the one who can't move on, so I bit my tongue, played the cool guy. Even when my buddy Dave said, "Man, I saw Linda at Eddie Merlot's last weekend," She was with some guy in a sport coat. You know about that? Yeah, sure, I lied. Just a work thing. Because what was I supposed to say? That my stomach dropped like I'd been sucker punched? That I drove past that restaurant 3 times the next week like some middle-aged stalker? The worst part of me still wanted her to be happy. Even if it killed me. That's the hollow victory of divorce. You survive, but you don't win. You just sit in your too quiet house, staring at your phone, waiting for a text that doesn't come, and wondering when the hell you became this guy. It was a Tuesday night when Linda showed up at my door again. Not a weekend, not a holiday, just some random Tuesday in November. The kind of night where the darkness comes early and sticks around too long. I was in my usual spot, recliner, ESPN on mute, a lukewarm beer sweating on the coffee table. The doorbell rang, and for half a second I thought it was the damn Amazon guy again, leaving a package for the neighbors on my porch like he always does. But then I saw her through the peephole. Linda, standing there in that tan trench coat I'd bought her 3 birthdays ago, her hair a little longer than I remembered, hands shoved deep in her pockets like she was nervous, or cold, or both. I opened the door before I could talk myself out of it. Hey, she said, like we'd just seen each other yesterday, like she hadn't ghosted me for 6 months except for those random texts about missing kitchenware. Hey, I said back. Real eloquent, I know. She shifted her weight, glanced past me into the house. Can I come in? I should have said no. Should have made her stand out there in the November chill and say whatever she came to say on the porch, where the neighbors could hear. But 28 years of muscle memory is a hard thing to break. I stepped aside. The house smelled like takeout and laundry that needed folding. Linda's eyes flicked over everything, the dusty mantle, the stack of unopened mail, the single plate in the sink. I saw her notice it all, and I hated that I cared what she thought. She sat on the edge of the couch, didn't even take off her coat. I was in the neighborhood, she started. I almost laughed. Our old neighborhood was 20 minutes from wherever she was living now, according to my daughter's last text. Uh-huh, I said, crossing my arms. Silence. The kind that sits between you like a third person. The TV played highlights of a game I hadn't been watching. Finally, she sighed. I miss you, Rick. 4 words. 4 goddamn words, and just like that, my chest tightened like someone had cinched a belt around it. I wanted to believe her, wanted it so bad I could taste it, but something wasn't right. The way she wouldn't quite look at me, the way her phone buzzed in her purse, and she ignored it a little too quickly. Miss me how? I asked. She blinked. What? Miss me how? Like you miss your favorite coffee shop that closed down? Like you miss your old college roommate? Or like you actually miss me? Her mouth opened, then closed. The phone buzzed again. That's when I knew. Whatever this was, it wasn't about me. Not really. I walked to the door, opened it wide. The cold air rushed in. You should go. For a second, she looked like she might argue. Then she stood, adjusted her coat, and walked past me without touching me. Not even a brush of the sleeve. At the threshold, she paused. I'll call you. I didn't answer. Just watched her walk to her car, a new one, silver, not the SUV we'd picked out together, and drive away. Back inside, I picked up my beer. Flat now, like everything else. The knock on the door changed nothing, but it changed everything. Because now I knew she wasn't coming back for me. She was coming back for something else, and I was damn sure going to find out what. For 3 days after Linda showed up at my door, I didn't sleep. Not really. I doze off around 2 a.m. only to jerk awake at 4, my brain cycling through every word she'd said, every glance she'd avoided. That damn buzzing phone. The way she'd hesitated when I asked what she really wanted. I almost called her, had my finger hovering over her contact more times than I'd admit. But something stopped me each time. Maybe the memory of how she'd looked at our wedding photos when she thought I wasn't watching. Not nostalgic, not sad, just assessing, like she was calculating something. Then the text started. Can we talk? I think we made a mistake. You were always my rock, Rick. Each one felt like a fishhook in my chest. I'd read them a dozen times, start typing a response, then delete it. My buddy Mike would have told me to block her number. My sister said I should hear her out. But nobody told me how to handle the quiet terror of realizing you don't trust someone who used to know you better than anyone. On Friday, she called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was all breathy pauses and half-finished thoughts. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Maybe we could meet for coffee? There's things we should... I just feel like I played it 4 times. Then I did something I hadn't done in 20 years. I drove past her apartment. Her silver Altima was there, along with a black BMW I didn't recognize. I sat in my truck 2 blocks away like some pathetic private eye, gripping the wheel too tight. Part of me wanted to march up there, bang on the door, demand answers. The other part, the part that remembered how she'd cried when our dog died, how she'd held my hand through my dad's funeral, whispered, "Maybe you're imagining things." That's when her door opened. Linda stepped out, laughing at something, wearing that blue sundress I'd always liked. A man followed, tall, salt and pepper hair, one of those crisp button-downs that cost more than my weekly grocery run. He kissed her cheek, not a friendly kiss, the kind that lingers. I drove home shaking, not from anger, but from the sheer relief of finally knowing. Her text came an hour later. Please just give me a chance to explain. This time, I replied. 1 word. No, not angry, not dramatic, just final. For the first time since she left, I slept through the night. Turns out, no isn't just a word. It's a wall, and behind it, a man can finally start to rebuild. That single word, no, hung in the air between us like a guillotine blade. I expected Linda to fight back, to bombard me with calls and messages demanding an explanation. But silence followed. The kind of silence that's louder than any argument. For the first week, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. I'd find myself staring at her social media photos, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to confirm what I'd seen with my own eyes. There he was in the background of her vacation photos, salt and pepper hair, always just out of focus but unmistakable. My daughter Emily called me on Sunday, like clockwork. Our weekly check-in. She asked how I was doing, and I almost told her, but how do you explain to your kid that her mother might have been lying to both of us for who knows how long? Instead, I asked if she'd talked to Linda lately. Yeah, she mentioned you weren't returning her calls, Emily said, her voice careful. She seemed upset. I nearly laughed. Upset. That was rich. Did she say why she's suddenly so interested in talking to me? A pause on the line. Too long. Dad, is something going on? The concern in her voice almost broke me, but this wasn't her burden to carry. Just adult stuff, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. I started noticing things around the house. Ghosts of our marriage. The faint stain on the kitchen counter where Linda's coffee pot used to sit. The way certain songs on the classic rock station would make me reach for the dial. Even my morning routine felt different now that I wasn't unconsciously listening for her car in the driveway. Then came the letter. It arrived on a Tuesday, the kind of bright autumn morning that should have felt hopeful. Plain white envelope, her precise handwriting. No return address, like she knew I'd recognize it anywhere. I carried it to the back porch with my coffee, turning it over in my hands like it might explode. Part of me wanted to toss it unopened. The other part, the part that still remembered her laugh, the way she'd hum off key while making pancakes, needed to know what she could possibly say now. The letter wasn't long, 2 pages of her looping script. She talked about regret, about how she'd been going through something, how she wanted to make amends. But here's what stuck with me. Not a single mention of him. Not one word about the man I'd seen kissing her. Just vague apologies and carefully crafted nostalgia. I read it 3 times, waiting for the punchline, waiting for the part where she'd tell me the truth. It never came. That afternoon, I drove to the storage unit where I'd boxed up the last of our wedding photos. I didn't take them out, just sat there in the dim fluorescent light, staring at the cardboard flaps, wondering when exactly we'd stopped being honest with each other, wondering if we ever really had been. I should have burned Linda's letter, should have tossed it in the dumpster behind the hardware store where I buy my morning coffee. But like a fool, I kept it folded in my jacket pocket, the paper wearing thin at the creases from how often I'd taken it out to reread her empty words. 2 weeks passed. The leaves turned, the days shortened, and my morning routine became something almost peaceful. Coffee, the newspaper, no more checking my phone for messages that would never come. I started sleeping through the night again. Then my old neighbor Carl saw me at the gas station. "Rick," he said, pumping his regular into that ancient Ford of his. "You holding up okay?" I gave him the usual nod, the standard getting by men our age have perfected. But Carl had always been sharper than most. He wiped his hands on a rag, looked me dead in the eye. "Yeah, listen, I wasn't going to say anything, but you know Linda's been seeing someone, right?" The nozzle clicked off in my hand. Gasoline dripped onto my shoes. Carl shifted uncomfortably. "Guy named Robert works at the medical center. They've been, well, it's been going on a while." He said the last part quietly, like he was telling me someone had died. I heard the rest in fragments over the next few days. From the barber who'd cut my hair for 20 years. From Linda's old coworker I ran into at the grocery store. Robert wasn't just some fling. They'd been together for over a year. A year of family dinners where she'd barely looked at me. A year of me blaming myself for the distance between us. A year of lies stacked so high I couldn't see the truth anymore. The final piece came from my daughter. Emily showed up at my door unannounced on a Thursday night, her eyes red-rimmed. "Mom told me everything," she said, her voice breaking. "About Robert, about how long it's been. I made us tea like I used to when she was little and had nightmares. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where Linda had told me she wanted a divorce, and Emily handed me her phone. There they were. Vacation photos Linda had never shown me. Robert's arm around her at some beach resort. A selfie from what looked like a fancy dinner, all dated months before she'd left. The weirdest part? I didn't feel rage, didn't feel much of anything except a strange, hollow relief. The suspicion I'd carried for so long hadn't been paranoia after all. Emily squeezed my hand. "I'm so sorry, Dad." I looked at our wedding photo still hanging in the hallway, the one I'd never taken down, and realized I'd been mourning a marriage that had died long before the divorce papers. The truth was out now, and somehow that was the beginning of letting go. It's been a year now. Not that I'm counting the days anymore, but you remember these things. The first holiday alone, the first birthday without her call, the first time you wake up and realize you didn't dream about her. I sold the house. Too many ghosts in those walls. Found a smaller place near the river where the sound of the water drowns out the silence. Emily helped me pack. We didn't talk much about Linda, but when we did, it was without the old anger. Just facts, like discussing the weather. She's in Florida now. Robert got transferred. No, we don't speak. Funny thing about betrayal. Once the shock wears off, you start noticing things about yourself you'd ignored for years. Like how I'd stopped fishing, something I'd loved because Linda thought it was a waste of time. Or how I'd let her handle all the finances because she said I wasn't detail-oriented. Turns out, I'm great with numbers. I just hadn't tried in decades. The guys at the diner still ask if I'm dating. Plenty of fish in the sea, Rick. But that's not why I'm here. I'm not some cautionary tale about love gone wrong. And I'm not bitter. Not anymore. Just clearer. If there's one thing this whole mess taught me, it's that the worst lies aren't the ones they tell you. They're the ones you tell yourself. She'll change. It's just a phase. Maybe if I try harder. Number. Some days are still hard. Nights, mostly. But now, when the loneliness creeps in, I let it sit with me a while. Then I make coffee. Call my daughter. Take the damn fishing rod out of the closet. I don't know if I'll ever trust someone like that again. And that's okay. Because for the first time in 30 years, I'm learning to trust myself.